Good. My main claim being refuted is that the Detroit Lions will make the playoffs this season. Philip's supporting claims were that the Lions' current record suggests that they can succeed in the rest of the season. Second, that the Lions' current number of wins provides a good foundation for making the playoffs. And thirdly, that the Lions have a greater chance than the other NFC teams. My first counterclaim is that due to their recent performance, the Lions' current record does not suggest that they can succeed in the rest of the season. They are no longer 5-0, but are now 6-2. The club has followed 5 straight wins to start the season with back-to-back losses at home. Their most recent win after the back-to-back losses was against the Denver Broncos, who are not exactly a playoff-worthy team with a record of 2-5 after Week 8. Mark Kisla, in an article in NFL.com, talks about Broncos quarterback Tim Tebow. He's the worst quarterback in the NFL. He's totally unprepared to play quarterback. He can't make basic throws that NFL quarterbacks do, and he doesn't read NFL defenses. This shows that their last win was an easy victory, and this alone is not enough to show that the Lions are bouncing back from their 2 losses. Lions head coach Jim Schwartz says, "We started off 5-0 with a good start, and we've had a rough spot here. We haven't been our personality, which is scoring, getting stops, and playing good special teams. We have to get back to that. They are fighting to get out of a rut that everyone recognizes they are in. This rut could keep them out of the playoffs." Philip also said that with 5 wins, they have 11 weeks to match their 1999 playoff season, in which the Lions had a record of 8-8. However, just because they made the playoffs with a record of 8-8 in 1999 does not mean that if they match that, they will automatically make the playoffs this year. Depending on the records of NFL teams change year to year, and depending on the records of other teams in their division and their conference, they could need a much better record to make the playoffs. My second counterclaim is that the Lions' current number of wins does not provide a good foundation for making the playoffs. Philip made the argument that last time they started the season 5-0 in 1956, they ended with a record of 9-3, which would leave them with a great chance to make the playoffs. However, Jim Parker, a sports analyst for the Montreal Gazette, says the Lions have not made the playoffs since 1999 and have only been in the playoff hunt once since then. That was 2007, when the club started 6-2 under head coach Rod Marinelli, but claimed just a single win over the final 8 games to finish 7-9. With a record of 6-2, the 2011 season is identical to the 2007 season, one which the Lions were in the running but did not make the playoffs. This shows that their original 5-0 record is not enough to predict a playoff appearance, as Philip stated. The Lions can fall apart halfway through the season, just as the 2007 Lions did with the 6-2 record, when they failed to win more than one game the remainder of the season. On top of that, Philip also used the Seattle Seahawks 2010 season as an example of a 7-9 team going to the playoffs. However, according to an article in the New York Times written by Nate Silver, the Seattle Seahawks were the only team in the history of the NFL to reach the playoffs with a 7-9 record. This is a fluke incident that occurred and should not be used as a precedent for the Lions. My third counterclaim is that the Lions do not have a greater chance than the other NFC teams. For starters, there are no longer 2 undefeated teams in the NFC, as previously stated. The standings on NFL.com show that the Lions are now 6-2, and the Packers are the only undefeated team in the entire NFL. Not only are they in the same conference together, but they are also in the same division. Since they're in the same division, this means they have to play them 2 more times before the end of the year. That's 2 times that the Lions have to play the defending Super Bowl champions that are yet to be defeated this year. The fact that the Lions have beat 4 NFC teams in their 5 wins does not really say much, as stated by Philip, seeing as they have not beaten any of the division leaders. According to NFL.com, out of the 6 games the Lions won, 4 of them were against teams that were under 500, and the 2 that weren't were only 1 game over 500. The one division leader they have played so far was San Francisco, who's leading the NFC West, and they lost the game 25-10. Once again, from NFL.com, we can see that 4 of their remaining 8 games are against division leaders. They have not yet faced the majority of their toughest opponents, which will make it hard for them to get the wins they need to make it to the playoffs. So, I have used counterclaims and diminished the arguments to show that the Lions' current record does not suggest they can see in the rest of the season, and that the Lions' current number of wins does not provide a good foundation for making the playoffs, and that the Lions do not have a greater chance than the other NFC teams. So the Detroit Lions will not make the playoffs this season.
Here's where the betting comes.
I thought you did a really nice job identifying the claims that the advocate presented and analyzing each of those claims, putting them in the context of the historical record, challenging some analogies, and also including information about the current season that might undermine the projection that the advocate made. Excuse me. You do a pretty good job citing information on your own part. Sometimes I think you could do a little bit more effective job challenging some of the inferences that the advocate made based on the evidence that they presented. The challenge to the Seahawks, for instance, is okay, but I think there's an even better challenge, and that is that you've got it partially, and that is that the Seahawks, the only reason they made the playoffs is because they won their division, a division where no other team was successful. You know, the Lions are playing in a division where all the other teams are vastly more successful, with the exception of the Vikings. Sorry, all you Vikings fans. So I think the challenge there is reasonable that you've got, saying it was kind of a fluke, but I think you could sell that argument a little bit more with a little bit more discounting of the analogy that the advocate made there. Otherwise, I thought your evidence was really good. The one thing that I think takes away a little bit is the exit line, because you basically come up with a counterclaim, which I don't think you've proven, which is that they won't make the playoffs. I think that the exit line ought to be, there's certainly no guarantee that they're going to make the playoffs like Philip suggests. And you basically come up with a counterclaim that says they won't make the playoffs, and you better provide us better proof on that. Okay? All right, thank you.